Hello and welcome to The View from Here, a show created by students around the world about local stories that impact our communities. I'm Ainsley Suderick.
I'm Shanna Williamson.
And I'm Nick McAllister from Toronto Metropolitan University.
I'm Adore Verzamina.
I'm Emily Crabtree. And I'm Jacqueline Alvarez. And we're from Fresno State, California in the United States.
In this episode, we'll be talking about just how expensive it is to live in both Fresno and Toronto, with an emphasis on food and transportation. So, let's get started.
For Fresno, one of the biggest concerns for the Fresno State students is the thing that runs our lives, gas. Most Fresno State students drive to campus with an average commute time of 25 minutes. This is even worse when Fresno doesn't have any other reliable forms of transportation available. Our reporter team of Lisbeth Andres Aguilar, Jackson Sanchez, and Ricky Oakes give us a tank full of information on how the gas prices affect our students on the road.
Students drive into one of the few parking spots available on the Fresno State campus every day. The people on campus often have to deal with bumper-to-bumper traffic, the hardest Where's Waldo in finding a parking spot, and of course, the extremely high gas prices. Fresno State is a campus that occupies over 24,000 students, and of those students, over 16,000 of them live outside the city limits and drive to campus. Whether you live 3 miles or 33 miles, every student has had an encounter with the gas pump at some point.
I mean, it's definitely affecting my transportation from coming home to Fresno because I am originally from Bakersfield, so trying to make the trip back home isn't as easy with gas prices coming up.
And unlike other places where campus is within biking distance or can commute by other means such as taxi or subways, the only other option for some students is a one-way bus. And even then, the options are very limited.
Right now, it's the only option since I have a lot of morning classes and I usually can't. I used to try to use public transportation, but I feel like it's easier to use.
In the United States, the national average is around $3.70. Here in California, the average is around $5.80. That's nearly double the average others are paying in the U.S.
Back in Wyoming, I lived there for 3 years, and with $25, I could basically fill up my whole tank, and it would be good for a month and a half, give or take, because you don't really drive that much. But here, obviously, it takes me $50. I don't even fill my tank up all the way.
From Shaw Avenue, Lisbeth Andres Aguilar from The View from Here.
Let's translate. Your gas at about $5.16 US a gallon would be just over $7 Canadian. And per liter, our gas at $1.50 Canadian would be $1.09 for you.
Doing all this math is so confusing. So what we did is we figured out what it costs to fill the tank of an average sized car in both countries. We picked the Toyota Corolla.
It would cost roughly $60 US to fill up in Fresno, but if you filled up the same car here in Toronto, it would cost $74 US. For us, a fill up in Toronto would be around 100 Canadian dollars, but if we were visiting Fresno, it would be only 64 Canadian. Bottom line, Canadians pay a lot more for gas.
I'd be upset if I were spending any more than I already do on my Corolla. I already spend $60 just to fill it, and that feels like a hassle. So I can't even imagine having to add $10 plus and have that be the norm.
We live in a city of almost 3 million people, but it's over 6 million when you include its outskirts. And driving is only one way we get to school in Toronto.
We have highways, trains, buses, and a subway system, but each of these options comes with its own set of problems, including delays, breakdowns, and congestion. Boyana Leilas put 3 students to the test to uncover the roadblocks in their commutes to school.
Scarborough, an area around 24 kilometers northeast of downtown Toronto. It's also where we find 3 Toronto Metropolitan University students. They're all trying to reach their final destination at the TMU campus in downtown Toronto, each using a different method of transportation. This is Hiba. She'll be taking the bus and then the subway downtown.
So it takes me an hour and a half to get to school, but I can't give an exact estimate just because there may be things that come my way, whether that's traffic, security incident, or delays.
Faye will be starting her journey at Agincourt GO Station. Fun fact, GO stands for Government of Ontario.
It usually takes me about 40 minutes to get to school from here. I like it because it's cleaner, more efficient, and I have phone service on the train. But the downside is that it's a bit more expensive.
Pratt will be driving in the comfort of his car.
So depending on the time of the day, it takes me about an hour and a half for my 8 a.m. classes. Worst case scenario, 2 hours because of the construction and the DVP traffic.
Red is the bus and the subway, green is the GO train, and blue is for the car. The average student commutes at around 14 kilometers each way, at an average time of 45 minutes. The students taking transit use something called a Presto card. It costs $4 Canadian to set up, and then it lasts for a lifetime. You fill your Presto according to your age range and your student status. TMU has the second longest commute time for students on average across 10 post-secondary institutions in the Greater Toronto Area. And ever since the Line 3 Scarborough Rapid Transit subway line derailed, this permanently shut down the most and only convenient way of transferring subway lines. Now at 15 minutes into his commute, Pratt is well on his way to reaching the halfway point to school. But traffic congestion in Toronto is the worst in all of Canada. Day to day, Pratt never knows if there will be road closures, construction, or lane reductions that will slow him down.
All right, so as we got onto the DVP, we've been hit with traffic immediately, so I can't even get on the DVP. Can't tell how long it's gonna last, but hopefully not too long.
The GO train is much quieter than the subway. Faye is having a rather relaxing experience. As a regional public transit service for the Greater Toronto Area, it's used by commuters beyond the downtown and city proper area.
It cost me about $6.50 one way, so every day I have to spend almost $13, plus the price of the bus fares.
In fact, students spend an average of $220 taking transit each month. With the cost of tuition always going up and all of the other daily expenses of being a student, it sure adds up. But the price of gas and parking in Toronto isn't cheap either. The Pratt has to shell out an average of $1.47 per liter for gas, and that's around €1 or $2. It results in higher costs considering Toronto's traffic congestion.
This is the parking ticket. We have now just parked. Luckily, we found something in the first parking lot, so we have to go all the way up and all the way down.
While Pratt arrived, Heba is still on the subway. Faye's just transferring off the GO train and onto the subway at Union Station. 20 minutes later, Heba also arrives at the Bloor-Yonge station, but still has to transfer onto Line 1.
So we just arrived at the atrium and we are on our way to the SLC. We should be there in about 2 minutes.
Finally, Heba clocks in at 1 hour and 10 minutes.
So driving here was relatively fast, but it was about 40 minutes today on the Don Valley Parkway. There's a lot of traffic as well.
So I only have 1 3-hour class today, so I'm going to have to make the commute back to Scarborough in reverse again, but it was faster than normal days to commute here, so I'm pretty happy overall.
It's cleaner, more efficient, and I prefer quality over convenience. I prefer going on the GO train.
An average of 77% of TMU students rely on local and regional transit to get to campus every day. I'm Boyanna with Alicia, Faye, Lucas, and Mel, reporting for The View from here in Toronto.
You guys have a lot of forms of transportation there in Toronto, but it is interesting to see how they compare to each other and which ones are more useful for you to actually use, even if they seem simpler.
But you know, those aren't the only ways to get around in Toronto. We have something called the GO Bus for long city-to-city commutes, as well as Real-Trans, which is specifically for people with mobility and assistive devices.
My favorite option is Bike Share, which is a system that has bike kiosks scattered around the city that anyone can rent by the hour or for the day.
Jacqueline, what are some other commute options in Fresno?
Well, here in Fresno, we have our bus system, which is the Fresno Area Express. You know, students use that to get to school. It could sometimes be unreliable, though, just because there's not that many routes available or not enough demand to help out with taking students here to Fresno.
And pedaling back to the bike shares, I wouldn't ever think of that as an option of transport. So seeing that, especially here in Fresno, I don't think it'd be an option. But seeing that there, I think is really cool. And with over 500,000 people here in Fresno, unlike Toronto, we don't have as many ways to get around. But soon we'll have our own high-speed rail.
Many people in the Central Valley have been waiting for the California high-speed rail to start rolling, but it's been a struggle to get the train on the track.
Our reporters Brian Welch and Victoria Picasso shed some light on why the project is taking so long and the need for the train to begin operating.
If you are driving along the Highway 99 in Fresno County, you might notice many pieces of infrastructure like concrete bridges near the freeway. This is actually the California High-Speed Rail. This project was started by Proposition 1A, which was passed in 2008 by California voters. This entailed $9.9 billion in general obligation bonds to help get the project started. The plan of the project is to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles by way of the San Joaquin Valley. The train is going to be fully electric and will travel over 220 miles per hour in the valley portion of the line. Groundbreaking of the project happened in 2016 in the valley portion of the project, and there is still work being done on the future route to the Bay Area and Southern California. Augie Blancas, Public Information Officer at the California High-Speed Rail Authority, brought up the reason for starting the project in the valley.
We're actually able to test our trains at the maximum speeds. So we are starting here in the Central Valley between Madera and Kern counties. Also, we receive, under one of our grants, the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act grants, we were mandated to start in the Central Valley as well.
The high-speed rail has been a controversial topic, and the people on the other side, especially farmers, have mentioned that the location of the train and the cost are some points of concern. A board member of the Madera County Farm Bureau, Steve Massaro, had this to say about the high-speed rail authority.
A bunch of buffoons. I think this project is it's gone way over budget. It's the design of it has been not what you'd call the best.
The California High-Speed Rail has been a big job creator by employing 11,000 workers on this project.
More than 70% are going back to going to people who come from disadvantaged communities. So a majority of these jobs are going to counties like Fresno, Kings, Tulare, and Kern counties. Something of note is that we are bringing the nation's first high-speed rail system, and California is really leading the way by bringing it here into California. And with innovation and with large infrastructures projects like this, and one that hasn't been done in the United States, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes a lot of manpower.
The California High-Speed Rail will be welcoming riders in 7 to 10 years on the valley portion of the line. I'm Brian Welch with The View from here.
And let me tell you about high-speed trains in Canada. There aren't any. There's something in the works between Toronto and Quebec City, but it's not expected to be built until the mid-2030s. You're watching The View from Here, a show about how local issues are often international issues.
This episode was produced by students from Toronto Metropolitan University in Canada and Fresno State in California in the United States.
We've produced other episodes of the show with students from South Africa, the Netherlands, Brazil, the UK, and Hong Kong.
Head over to our website, YouTube, or Facebook to watch more episodes.
Paying for gas or public transportation aren't the only cost for students. The price of food keeps increasing on both sides of the border.
Fresno is one of the largest agricultural producers in the world. And with the Business Journal reporting that it produces over $8 billion in crops per year.
But even as an agricultural town, some students are still struggling with food insecurity. Catalisi, Natalia Mendoza, and Yahaira Ruiz show us how the university provides resources for students in need.
Fresno State has a nonprofit organization called the Amendola Student Cupboard that helps provide food for students in need. Local stores deliver donations on a daily basis. Student workers then unload and stock the items. They include dairy, fresh vegetables, meat, and canned goods. Food insecurity is a lack of food for every person living in a household. Food Security Project Coordinator Michael Ballin tells us more on what he does at the Cupboard.
I am the Food Security Project Coordinator. So, I work alongside the CalFresh Coordinator to make sure, that we have food on our shelves. Sometimes students or people don't always have access to maybe it's healthy foods, to nutritional foods.
According to Fresno City, 93% of Fresno residents are food insecure. According to the Fresno State website, 30% are students here on campus. CalFresh coordinator Jose Rivas shows us where they get some of their donations.
We are currently on our way to grocery outlet. We partnered up with the food bank and we are in this retail rescue program where grocery stores like Grocery Outlet, Smart and Final, and Walmart and other stores donate to different organizations.
A student assistant worker, Parsh Bat, tells us how this resource is useful to him.
As a student, is it very helpful because I actually don't have to spend anything on the groceries.
Bruce Fang is a student and father who uses the resources at the student cupboard.
One of the greatest things that has actually helped me out throughout the semesters was the diapers program. And so I have a daughter and diapers are expensive. It saves me a lot of money.
According to the student cupboard site, the student cupboard serves over 3,000 students each semester and is increasing its resources to help students in need.
Whatever a student's need may be, we have people who will help work with students to meet those needs.
Reporting from The View from here, this is Natalia Mendoza, Kat Alisi, and Yahaira Rees.
Thank you, have a good one! Fresno is also filled with tons of other food banks off campus, like the Central California Food Bank and other grocery stores that donate here on campus.
What sort of similar programs do you guys have in Toronto, Anna?
Here on campus, we have a food service provider called TMU Eats, which works to provide affordable food for our community. This year, they're promoting a $5 meal option as well as free soup on certain days.
We also have food banks located throughout the city, like Good Food Center on campus, Daily Bread Food Bank, church programs, and different community food banks.
In Toronto, the Daily Bread Food Bank has seen about 275,000 visitors a month. Pre-pandemic, this number would have been 60,000.
You know, that's insane how much the need for food banks has doubled since the pandemic started. And, you know, you guys have many options, but what kind of strain does that put on them?
What's really unfortunate is that fewer donations are being made to food banks. With the prices of groceries going up, even people with full-time work are finding it hard to pay for their own food.
If that's the case for people who work full-time, how do rising grocery prices impact students who are balancing both school and work with limited incomes?
To find out more about the cost of groceries here in Toronto, I went on a mission to shop for good quality food for a home-cooked meal with friends.
All right, I'll see you tonight. Okay, sounds good. Oh, I didn't see you there.
Hi, my name is Ainsley and I'm a student at Toronto Metropolitan University. Recently in our community, prices of groceries have gone up exponentially. As you just heard, I'm having a couple friends over for dinner. I'm making them chicken parmesan salad. I can't wait. But I want to do it without breaking the bank. So come with me as I shop for the food and cook for the food and make sure that I don't minimize taste and quality. Let's go. All right, I'm here. I've got my list, and let's see if we can do this without breaking the bank. All right, so we're back from the grocery store, and for the 7 items we spent for this one meal, it costed us a grand total of $44.65. For 3 plates of chicken parmesan, that's roughly $15 a plate. That's outrageous. I'm curious to see how much other students in our community are spending on groceries and food, so let's go take a look.
Like $70.
About $100.
I would say for me and my dad, over 100.
Like $150. Snacks, toilet paper, like the necessities.
Some sort of protein and veggies.
Eggs, the meals, the pasta, the meal deal from the metro, also nice.
By myself, never.
For lunch, probably more often. Maybe like twice a week.
Like once a week, I usually go out with my friends.
Sushi, like the good stuff.
I'll say meats have gotten pretty expensive. So stuff like steaks and things like that, I can't eat as much anymore.
Yeah, meat is so expensive. Meat and cheese. Yeah, cheese. Like you can't even make a sandwich.
Cheese, so expensive there. I'm from the Netherlands, it's less expensive there. So.
Alright, I'm done cooking my delicious meal for $15 a plate. My friends are here and I'm ready to catch up with them. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ainsley and this has been The View from Here. Cheers!
At grocery stores, getting things organic can add up. Getting stuff for a chicken parm, like a pack of chicken breast, can be around $10. Parmesan cheese and marinara sauce can be around $4 each, and the breadcrumbs to top it off around $3.
Exactly. At that price point, is it even worth it to make it at home, or do you just go out to the restaurant? Emily, what's it like food prices over there in Fresno?
Well, of course, most of our groceries from meat to fresh produce come from farms. And money doesn't grow on trees, and fruit is heading that direction. Local farm businesses in the Central Valley have been feeling the pain in their pockets in recent years as produce has gotten more expensive. Our reporter team of David Victor, Caesar Maya, and myself have more on that story.
California's Central Valley is one of the largest crop-producing regions on the planet. But proximity doesn't mean lower prices for local farm workers.
Cost of doing business, everything has gone up. Cost certification for to be organic has gone up. Fuel has gone up. Taxes have gone up. Everything's gone up.
It's not just the people who buy the produce. Farmers are having a hard time selling their produce as higher prices drive away consumers. But local farmers don't have much of a choice when it comes to setting how much their crops are worth.
I want to say inflation, like housing and everything increased, like it went up, so we have to keep up just to meet our end of the, so we can pay for our like bills and stuff.
Rising costs are even most noted by experienced farm workers who have seen prices go up by $1 throughout the years.
We sell a lot of stuff by the bunch, and back then it was like $1.50 a bunch. Now I've gone up to $2.50 just in order to make ends meet, with the price of gas and everything going up.
Retail stores sell fruits and vegetables at lower prices, while local growers say quality is worth their cost.
Quality of produce at this market is unparalleled. It is all fresh from less than 40 miles away for the most part. It was picked within the last 24 to 48 hours, and you just there's nothing like it you can find in a store.
Local farm businesses rely on their produce sales to stay afloat, but as costs continue to rise, selling their crops at competitive prices is becoming more and more of a challenge. High gas prices also affect farmers on how much they spend to transport their crops, like Luis Rivera, who drives from Visalia to sell his produce in Madera County. It affects us in many ways. The fact is that just by coming here, it costs us more than $100. We have to jump up the prices, but we also can't sell it too high. Reporting from Fresno, California, I'm David Victor for The View from Here.
Whether it's the farmer's market or a grocery store, getting your hands on fresh produce will be coming at a price.
I've always thought that buying produce locally was a way to cut down on costs, so it's interesting to see Californian consumers pivoting to bigger retail stores.
Shanna, do people in Toronto often buy their produce straight from farmers?
Farmers markets often pop up on the weekends in the warmer months where people can enjoy buying fresh produce right from the source. But even at a farmer's market, food has become quite expensive.
Yes, and it seems that Toronto consumers are buying frozen and canned food to cut down on food waste and costs. Jacqueline, do you find people are doing the same thing there?
Yes, people do actually buy more frozen and canned foods here because it's cheaper that way and the food lasts longer, so it is more economic to do that here.
You're watching The View from Here, a show produced by students at Fresno State and Toronto Metropolitan University in Toronto, Canada.
We've been talking about nutritious food, but it's true in both of our countries that people love junk food.
In fact, more than half of the population on both sides of the border eat fast food at least once a week. That's a whole lot of burgers, fries, and whatever else is on the fast food menu.
A few TMU students recently went on a Cortona, Italy trip to take a course, and they discovered something interesting.
European food seems to have that extra touch of quality, and at least in Italy, people seem more likely to cook and eat at home with their families. And we wondered, what does that mean for Canadians and our health?
In this next story, Michael Rosa and Natalie Kalnicki investigate what Canadian cuisine falls short to in its European counterparts.
Ah, Italy, home of stunning landmarks, European culture, and of course, some of the best food you will ever eat. Over this summer, my friend Natalie and I traveled to Cortona, Tuscany for a summer school opportunity. What we quickly realized is how different the food is treated in comparison to back home. Eating in Italy wasn't simply part of a person's day, it was a major focus. Every meal prepared with a rich tapestry of ingredients, every bite tasting better than the last. And then we returned back home.
Personally, I have a really sensitive stomach. And anything I eat in Toronto, I can be eating like a strawberry and I just feel bloated. But in Cortona, I could be eating pasta all day long and gelato and coffee and everything that would make me bloated at home. I'd be eating in Cortona, nothing.
I really wanted to explore this phenomenon that we were both experiencing. I figured the best way to do that is to ask my travel buddy to invite some people from all different backgrounds and talk about their experiences with travel and, more importantly, food.
From what we know, you guys have done some recent traveling, and we want to hear all about that, and more importantly, about the food that you guys ate in these countries.
What countries have you guys traveled to recently?
Caribbean and Italy. Spain and Paris.
Mexico and Kuwait. How could you compare and contrast the food that you ate there in terms of the food that you're eating here?
There's a huge difference, especially like when you're like in Italy or Paris or in the Caribbean. The food is so fresh and you're used to that, and like you're up and going and you're moving, like you notice your energy levels are also up there. Whereas when you're eating Popeyes and food like that, like you're like you don't want to move.
Mexico wasn't too bad. It was better than Canada's food, but Kuwait especially was probably one of the best food I've ever had. They have like laws down there, a lot of laws on food. You can't use any hormones, any preservatives, anything like that. So everything you eat is fresh, even McDonald's and any fast food restaurant.
Takeout culture is not really a thing there. It's very much you sit, you dine in, you eat. I remember I can't remember what restaurant, but I was in a restaurant in Italy and I was like, oh, can I get this to go? They're like, what is that?
Yeah,
what is to go?
Foreign concept to them.
They treat the food and the drinks with such care, to the point where like, I'd never been bar hopping, but my parents, they wanted to take us. So when we were bar hopping and we went to each bar, we had like a glass of wine and there was food in like little plates and they just kept serving us, and it was like really, really cheap. Like everything was under like 10 euros for everything you were getting. Like I want to get some food in my system, and you'll go out and you'll get this greasy fried food. But when you were in Spain and you were drinking and you were like having a good time, it was almost this experience where you were eating like good food, like good small food, and you were drinking good wine, and it felt relaxed.
After finding out that so many people shared the same experience as we did, I decided to back up my discovery with cold hard facts and get a professional's opinion on the matter. I reached out to Severia DeBrato, food specialist and culinary teacher at St. Michael's Catholic Secondary School, to find that information I was hungry for.
We farm heavily on chemicals and GMOs. Europeans, they focus and they don't tolerate poor food. And I think their biggest focus is eating in season. We have the culture of grab and go. The products that we use here in North America are completely different than what they use in the European Union. If you notice, even like their fast food, McDonald's has a huge variety of healthier choices for their side. A lot of our youth just find the easy way. They go out. Let's go out for dinner. You know what? Cooking is not very hard. It's quite easy.
After talking to Severia, I learned how differently food is treated around different parts of the world. It was refreshing to learn that there were actual reasons as to why my experience with food in other countries were so vastly different than here in Canada.
If I don't want to cook or I'm out and about and hungry, takeout or junk food is the way to go.
Here in Toronto, it's normal for people to grab a quick lunch and eat at their desks while doing work. Adore, do you feel it's the same there?
I personally don't really do that, but if you go to our student union building, you'll catch most people eating food and doing their schoolwork. However, it's not like that all the time. People do come together over a shared love of food.
Yeah, and there's something we really love here in Fresno.
Hey guys, you know what I've been craving?
What's that?
I always crave pasta, but do you know what Fresno has a lot of?
Tacos.
Exactly, tacos. And Fresno has seen an increase in food truck culture. People are now opening their own businesses and becoming food vendors as the popularity of street food is suddenly rising.
Yeah, and our reporter team of Renee Rodriguez, Jacqueline Alvarez, and Alex Flores provide an in-depth look at how this fried and crispy phenomenon has swept the valley.
Day and night, it seems like you could find a good outdoor spot to eat in the city at just about any corner you go. Whether it's hot dogs sold outside games and concerts, or the rising popularity of taco trucks, such an outdoor food culture has emerged suddenly in our valley in recent years and has become a part of our city's visual landscape. A 2-taco plate will cost you around $6, which is $8.26 Canadian. But my oh my, would you look at that, what a delight. It has even made its way to our wonderful campus, where students were given an alternative food option for a couple of weeks. Business owners like Ana Jaimes, who owns Tacos La Necia, are excited for the future because it will help out her business. She sat down with us to share what she likes about serving so many people.
Me da mucha satisfacción, como te comentaba, que
it gives me a lot of satisfaction, as I was saying, that when they're done eating, they approach me and they tell me that I make the best tacos, the best birria, and the best menudo.
Fresno loves this taco truck culture so much that the growth of this unique business trend has culminated in an annual experience called the Taco Truck Throwdown. This event celebrates the taco truck culture and has added some new ideas along the way, such as the Michelada Throwdown. Thousands of people come together every October at Fresno's Chichansi Park to eat tacos, drink micheladas, and enjoy live musical performances.
I like how big it's gotten. I like how convenient it is, where they can set up anywhere and get good food.
It's always like this. It's always a lot of people. It's always a lot of love. It's always a lot of food and entertainment. It gives you a flavor of Fresno that you don't get anywhere else. You know.
In this event, 25 taco trucks from across the valley come together to compete for the title of Taco Truck Throwdown Champion. This year's winner is Tacos Jacinto. Owner Melissa Martinez took time to share her humble beginnings and offer advice to future upstarts.
My mom was very well known in Easton, Carruthers, Kerman, Central Valley, kind of out in the outskirts, and we brought it out to the city, which is Fresno. So we kind of had to start all over again. There were days where we would only have one customer a day. It was like really bad the first year, but we had to start from zero. It just takes a lot of patience, time, and a lot of love, because you have to love what you do in order for it to succeed.
Whether you're an upstart, an established business, or you're just looking to get a good bite to eat, one thing is certain: tacos are here to stay, and they have been a part of Valley life. From Fresno, California, my name is Renee Rodriguez with The View from here.
Torontonians love their tacos too. We have lots of Mexican eateries here. And I think the best tacos come from 7 Lives in Kensington Market, which is a very popular downtown area filled with food from around the world. However, eating tacos served from a truck is something I haven't tried yet.
Nick, what's the food truck culture like there in Toronto?
In Toronto, we see more food trucks out in the summer, especially in our more urban areas. And during public events or festivals, lines for food trucks are available and they're pretty diverse. Tiny Tom's Donuts is a food truck that most Canadians will see pretty often.
Speaking of donuts, Emily, have you ever heard of Tim Hortons?
I have heard of Tim Hortons. Have I ever tried it is a different story. One of the places we have around here, though, for donuts is Krispy Kreme.
Well, whether they're glazed, frosted, or just plain, donuts are a delicious treat that pairs perfectly with a steaming cup of joe.
But here's the burning question. Who reigns supreme in the donut world? The friendly neighbors of the north or the land of stars and stripes? Nicole Krasner goes on a sweet quest to find out who does donuts better, Tim Hortons or Krispy Kreme.
We're trying donuts. Krispy Kreme versus Tim Hortons.
To see which one is the best.
Krispy Kreme is an American donut company that was founded in 1937 with over 350 stores in the USA. It came to Canada in 2001 and has over 13 stores across the country. Krispy Kreme also operates in over 30 countries. Tim Hortons was started in Canada by a hockey player named Tim Horton in 1964 with over 3,500 Tim Hortons locations in Canada and over 630 in the USA. There are over 5,000 locations in 16 countries worldwide.
Let's try it. We're gonna close our eyes and taste test them all now.
Oh my god.
That's what you call Krispy Kreme.
That's that good stuff. That's that good stuff.
My thought is it's so yummy, and I want more. And it's Krispy Kreme.
This one, I just know by the second I touched it, you know? The smell of it coming up to my nose. It is a Krispy Kreme donut, certainly.
There's a certain texture and certain feel about a Krispy Kreme donut that you can just you can dream about it.
So now we're gonna taste the one on our left.
Okay, it's also
Significantly less better.
it's less like gourmet feeling.
I've never in my life had a Krispy Kreme and then another donut beside it. And now I'm realizing this is really bad.
Look, it's a good donut, but is it the best? No.
Certainly not. It's too sweet.
It's really sweet.
The chocolate is like weird on the top.
Yeah,
Let's
the
be
ice
real.
on top is crispy.
Anything else from Krispy Kreme other than the original glazed is like slightly mid.
No, it's not even slightly. Like it's very much.
It's
mid.
very
like
mid.
no.
Okay,
They need
as
to
long
just
as we're on
stick to
the
the
same
OG
page.
one, and that's
The
it.
OG is too good. It's top.
Now we're gonna try the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Their custard is just better too.
It does taste a lot better.
See, I like the donut better on the other one, but the topping better on this one.
I agree, and the filling in this one's better, but the donut quality is better on the Krispy
Yeah.
Kreme.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay, so now we can open our eyes.
I mean, you can even tell by the look.
That is like pure Canadian joy, Tim Hortons, and that's like Americans trying to replicate it. You know?
So overall, for the Boston cream, which one do we vote for?
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is better, yeah.
Tim Hortons?
Without a doubt.
Okay, and the original one, which one do we vote
Definitely
for?
Krispy Kreme.
Okay, and if you had to give an overall, pick one donut shop and never go to any other donut shop ever, would you go to Krispy Kreme or would you go to Tim Hortons?
Get us the
For
white
only
box.
donuts?
White box.
Crispy.
Krispy
Yeah.
Kreme.
Crispy.
Yeah.
Like, if you microwave a Tim Hortons donut, it might turn into some object. The winner is Krispy Kreme!
The cuisines in Toronto and Fresno are both diverse, which comes from the influence of various cultural backgrounds. However, there are some tried and true Canadian staples that I think people should try at least once. One of my favorite Canadian desserts are called beaver tails. Jacqueline, have you ever heard of beaver tails before?
No, I've never heard of beaver tails before. What is that?
Don't let the name fool you. No beavers were harmed in the creation of the beaver tail. It's a fried dough pastry that can be topped with loads of sweet toppings, shaped like the tail of a beaver. I like the classic cinnamon sugar one. Adore, is there anything similar over there?
I'd say the closest thing to beaver tail that I know of is churros, because there's a truck in Madeira that sells churros with caramel in the middle. It's like a sweet pastry with cinnamon and like brown sugar on top. But other than that, I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, I mean, beaver tails seem like a real treat. We also enjoy monkey bread. It's like a nice little doughy cinnamon, kind of thing like you guys were talking about, but it's pulled apart and has a glaze on top of it. Sometimes it's cream cheese, sometimes it's just a random glaze. But other than that, what are some of your favorite Canadian treats, Nick?
The most Canadian treat I can think of is when we pour maple syrup on snow, and you can enjoy this taffy in late March.
And that's about it for this edition of The View from Here, a show produced by students across the world about local stories that have an impact on our communities.
We hope you've enjoyed our show.
This episode of The View from Here was produced by students from Toronto Metropolitan University in Canada and Fresno State in California, USA.
We also have 4 other shows that you can watch on our website or YouTube with stories from students in Hong Kong, England, Brazil, the Netherlands, and South Africa.
Thank you again to all of the people who participated in our interviews and stories, as well as the students behind the scenes who work so hard to create these shows.
This has been The View from Here.